تعك انت هذيك. Okay. So how was your weekend? Did anybody have an interesting weekend or a regular weekend?
No.
Normal weekend?
Boring weekend.
A boring weekend.
Yeah.
All right. Hope this lesson is a little less boring, hopefully, than the weekend. Okay, I think I sent you a video, but I'm not sure if it's the one you want, Malak. Is it the correct one? The one I sent you?
Oh, no, I don't see it because I was busy.
Okay. Because I sent you the video, but I think maybe it's not the one you want. Maybe it's not because I was also in a hurry, so I'm not completely sure if it's the right one or not.
Okay, I will see.
Yeah, you can check it later, no problem. Okay, so who remembers what's the last thing we covered? Last time we
about listen commuter.
I think we covered. That's it. Here's the book. Let me share it. I think the supercommuters, we finished talking about them. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we finished.
Yes.
So here, let's share the screen. Okay. Is my voice clear, or is it? Can you hear me clearly, or is it choppy? Shams, hi Shams. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Okay, you're a bit quiet. Did you get the video, Shams? Was it the one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so did you see all of it? Did you finish it?
No, I see the start only.
Only the
I
start.
didn't have the time.
All right,
Yeah.
so it would be a good idea, I think, to check it, at least so you can tie the knots and sort of connect it to the stuff we're doing today. Okay, so very quickly, let me just mention very quickly what we talked about. Last lesson, we just finished doing a few questions, and you could call the last lesson a big revision of basically all the grammar we covered in elementary. So all of this was mentioned, and in this exercise, for example, number 7, there was a mix of present simple, past simple. We also talked about the subject questions and how subject questions don't have the auxiliaries do, does, or did. So we also made sort of a difference or explained the difference between a subject question and a non-subject question. So you'll find all of this. Of course, you'll find it in the video. And then if you still have any questions, you're free to ask me, okay? So let's start with today's question, with today's topic, time to relax. So you can already see that this lesson, 1C, is already in contrast of the last lesson, because this lesson we are going to focus mainly on leisure or free time activities. What do we do during our free time? How do we spend our free time? And so on. And we'll also read an interesting survey, an interesting study or survey. Have you heard of the word survey before, Shams and Malak? Survey? Have you?
Survey, I think it's a kind of system. I don't know.
Okay, let's see, Malak. What do you think a survey is, Malak?
The mean survey.
Yeah, have you heard of the
Survey
word?
is a study or study something about a map or observe
Correct.
something.
That's correct. Yes. So a survey is like a study. It's usually a statistical study. We want the statistics, numbers. How many people do this? How many people do that? So they compare, for example, in Libya, 95% of people eat bazin, for example, but in Tunisia, only 2% or 1% eats bazin. This is a stupid survey, but it's just an example. They show you the percentages of people who do something. This is usually called a survey. So we are going to read an interesting survey actually about the British people and how they spend their free time and what they usually do. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We are also going to talk about, this is one of my, I think, my favorite exercises. I think it's important, it's easy, but it's important at the same time. How to talk about activities using do, play, go, and go to. There's a bit of a rule here, and we'll try to, I'll try to see if you can figure it out. So this is also included in today's lesson, okay? So let's start with the first exercise with vocab. So here we have free time activities. And you can see here, they just want you to complete the words here. You have A, E, I, O, U, the vowels, and they want you to use the vowels to complete these words. Okay, so number one is already answered, and you can see we use do to say judo, and we say do judo, and we say do exercise, okay? And then we have number two, we have play. So how do we use play? So play, what do you think the first word is?
volleyball.
Correct. And what do you think the spelling is, Shams?
O-E-A.
Okay, these are, you spelled out the missing words, right? O-E-A.
Yeah.
Correct. And the last one, I think it's clear, the last one, the last word with play, what is it?
Cards.
Cards, correct. So all we need is?
A.
That's right. Okay, what about the next word? We have the next group. We have the group of go. So we go.
Cycling and running.
Correct. And what are the missing vowels?
Good. I.
And you and I.
That's right, yes. So we go cycling, we go running, and with cycling, we just need the letter I, which is missing. And with running, we only need you and I. Okay, and the last one, the last group here is the go-to group. So we go to...
Concert.
Correct.
Concert.
Yes.
Theater.
C-O. Theater.
All right. What about the spelling of concerts?
C-O-N-C-O-N-E.
Correct. So the missing letters are O and E, right? And with the theater?
Theater. E-A-E.
Right. Now, there's a common question. What's the difference between, or why do you sometimes see it like this? And why do you sometimes see it like this? Which one is correct?
Theater.
Which one of them is correct, in your opinion?
Yeah. The same spelling, but on stress, do you mean that?
But
about stress?
But which one is correct? Which one has the right spelling, and which one is incorrect, in your opinion?
Oh, yes. Number 2, it's correct. Theater.
You mean the second one?
Yes, the second one.
But here we have the spelling of the first one in the book, right?
No,
Yeah.
the number one. Yes, number 1. It's the first one. The first one. Theater. Yes.
Do you agree with her, Shams? Do you think that's right?
The last few days, I see the word matter in a novel, and it's like the second one.
Uh-huh. It's not
It's
like
not
the first
like
one.
the first one. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's weird.
Yeah. All right. So I'll tell you the actual the real answer is both of them are correct. It's just a spelling variation between British and American English. The first two, this is British English, and this book we're using is also British. So they use the British spelling rules. So this is a British spelling, but this is American spelling. So both are correct. Now you might ask, okay, which one should I use? The general rule is if you stick to one spelling system or spelling rule, all your writing needs to be in that rule. So even if you're doing one of the big formal exams like IELTS, TOEFL, FCE, one of these exams, you can use the American spelling system, no problem, but you have to write everything using those spelling rules. So there are some of them. Other examples I'll show you between British and American, like this one.
Yes, yes.
And we have this one also. Yeah. So all of these are just variations of the whole British versus American spelling. Okay. All right. So so let's go back to our main topic. So so we were just talking about different activities, and we have 4 verbs to talk about them. Now let's go down in exercise 2. Let's scroll down, and here we'll cover this in slightly more detail, and we'll see how we can talk about these activities. Okay, it says look at the phrases in part 1, the one we were just doing now, and it says which verb do we usually use with these free time activities? Okay, so we're going to use these last 4 sentences, or let's say groups, these 4 groups. We're going to use them as a model to answer this group of questions. So the first one, it says which activities or which words, which verb. So we want to know which verb do we use with activities that end with ing. Do we use do, play, go, or go to?
Go.
Go.
That's right, because we have 2 examples, cycling and running. And in these 2 activities, we used go. So this appears to be a rule. It looks like a rule. Now, number 2, it says sports with a ball and other games. So if it's some kind of a game, or if there's a ball involved. What do you think, Shams?
We use play.
Play? Do you agree with her, Malak? Do you think that's right?
Play, yes.
That's right. Yes, because the only sport with a ball we have in the examples in part 1 is volleyball, and we used play with it. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Now, number 3, or rule number 3, it says for places and events. I think this is a bit clear. Which one do we use?
Go to.
Go to.
Yeah, exactly, because we go to concerts and we go to the theater. Now, the last one is things you do in a gym or in a health club.
Do.
Yeah, we just use do. Yeah, so we say do, judo, do exercise. Now, according to these little rules that we just found out now, we want to apply this. We want to use these guidelines or rules. We want to use them to put the right verb for these activities in this little box here. So let's read the activities first, and then we'll choose the right verb for each one of them. Okay, so let's do them in groups. So Shams can do the first 2, and then Malak, you can do the last 2. Okay, go ahead, Shams. You can read them.
Skateboarding, basketball, yoga, art gallery, jogging,
and
I can't see it.
Do you want me to zoom in?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Are you using your laptop?
No, my phone.
Your phone. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. Is it better now?
Aerobics. Aerobics.
Correct, that's right. Do you know what aerobics is?
No.
What about you, Malak? Have you heard of aerobics? By the way, if there are new words here, don't worry, because there is a little visual exercise we're going to do together. So, but have you seen the word before? Maybe aerobics, or can you guess what it is?
Aerobic, maybe a physical fitness exercise.
You're right.
Or no?
That's correct. That is aerobics. Yes. And we'll see when you see the little picture, you'll get what it means exactly. But what you said is exactly right. It's physical fitness exercise. Is a good description. Is a very good description. All right. So you can read the last group. Malak, tell us. Can you read the last two parts? The last two sentences.
Mountain biking, chess, sport, the gym, museums, table tennis.
Okay. Now, Shams, can you read this word?
Museums.
All right. So where is the stress? Can you see the stress, Malak?
In the first museums. At the first.
Actually, do you see the little dots here? The dots they use.
Yes.
Do you know what the dots are?
Stress.
Is that
what you mean?
The stress?
Yes, that's where you put your stress. Yeah. So imagine the little dots like these. It's a good way. It's a little silly, but it might help. So whenever you see a dot, just imagine it's a. No, I don't want this one. So it's a little shidda here. So you have a little shidda. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So just stress it a little bit. Okay. Let's hear it from. Let's hear it again. This word. Let's hear it from Shams, and this time stress the e a little bit.
Okay. Museums.
Again.
Museums.
Okay, but good. That's good. The last part was good, but the first part, make it shorter. The make it lighter.
Museums.
Very nice. That's it. Museums. That's the correct pronunciation. Yes. All right. So let's see. Let's do the guessing part first. Okay. Let's just guess, or let's do the ones we know according to these rules. So let's use the right verbs: do, play, go, and go to. Let's apply these verbs to this group of activities. And then the ones that we're not sure of course, we can always check them in page 119. Okay, so you can start with the, let's switch. So Malak, you can do the first two groups, the first two sentences, and then Shams can do the last two. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
Play skating, skateboarding.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do we use for skateboarding?
Play.
But in the rule, what?
No.
What?
Yes. I'm sorry. Go skateboarding.
All right. Very nice. Good. That's
yes.
correct.
Play basketball. Do yoga. Correct.
Right.
Go to art galleries. Go jogging.
Okay.
Do aerobics.
All right, that's right. Okay. And what about you, Shams? Can you do the last two?
Yeah. Mountain biking. Go.
All right.
Mountain biking.
Okay, but how do we say the second word here? How do we say this one?
Biking.
All right. Correct.
Okay. do chess. Or no, not do chess. Play chess.
Okay, what do you think? Which is better? Or what's the which one is the correct one?
I think play chess.
Correct, because for games, you should use play according to the rule number 2. It says if it's a sport with a ball, or if it's a game like cards, checkers, maybe chess, board games, Monopoly, yeah, we should use play. Dominoes also.
Do sport.
Okay, correct.
Go to the gym. Go to the museums and play table tennis.
All right, that's correct. But here with museums, do we use the or there's no need for a the? What do you think?
I think no need. We say go to museums.
That's right. Okay, so let's have a little check here in 119, just to confirm our answers, and let's see if everything is okay. And also you can get a chance to see the photos. All right, do you see this one? Do you see the little free time activities here? On the right side of the page, do you see it?
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So so it says, according to our answers, I think all of the answers are correct. And here is aerobics. Do you see aerobics, Malak? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is actually physical fitness, like you said. Okay, there's an interesting tip here. Can you see the tip? Can you read the tip, Shams, for us?
We don't usually use the verb practice with sports. I play tennis, not I practice tennis.
All right, so the word practice is probably not the best word to use for sports. Just say play. You can't say practice. You can say I think training is probably better for sports. We have football training, we have basketball training if you're a player. So practice is probably better for skills, not for sports.
So we don't use practice.
Not for sports. For sports, use training. Training is a better verb, to train. I have, for example, if you're a volleyball player, so you can say, I can ask you, okay, what are you up to? You say, oh, I have some volleyball training. I have to go at 5 o'clock or something. So, so training is the better word. All right, so let's go back to our topic. Now, here in part, the tip in the vocabulary boxes, we only show the main stress. Okay, so so here they're just explaining again the idea of stress, that whenever you see the little circle, this means this is the main stress of the word. All right, now in exercise number 3, here it says, work in pairs, ask questions with do you ever, find 6 things that you can both do in your free times. In your free time, use phrases from number 1 and 2, and some of your own ideas. So we can do this as a nice little speaking practice. So each one of you can ask the other, do you ever, and then we can use these activities, and you can also add other activities. But for any activity you add, make sure you use the right verb for the activity, okay? So this is just an example. Do you ever go to art galleries? Yes, sometimes, or you can say, no, I don't, or you can say, yes, I go all the time. So here even the answer is sort of open. It's a yes, no question with present simple, with do, and it's sort of a nice conversational question. All right, so Shams, you could start first. You could ask Malak, you can ask her any of these activities, and if you have any activities that you'd like to ask about, which are not included, feel free to use them. as well, okay? So you can go ahead.
Okay. Malak, do you ever do exercise for your free time?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. You can ask her, let's say, 5 questions, okay? So you asked her the first one. So ask her about 4 other activities or 4 other things, and let's see what she has to say.
Okay. Do you ever go to shopping in your free time?
Yes, I do.
All right, now, good question, but can you repeat it again? Shams, please.
Do you ever go to shopping in your free time?
Okay, now you used shopping, right?
Yeah.
And shopping is like jogging, yeah? And
Yeah,
biking.
ing.
It's an ing, yeah. And what do we use for ing?
Go.
Mm-hmm. And what did you say?
I say go.
Okay, can you say the question again, please?
Okay. Do you ever go shopping in your free time?
All right.
Yes, I do.
All right, good. Now, if you want to say go to, like the first time you said go to, you can say, do you like to go to the shopping mall? You can change it to a place, and that would be fine. So you could say, do you ever go to shopping malls? Is better in general, speaking in general. Remember the rule, by the way, guys. If you want to speak about something generally, it's better to always use the plural. So do you ever go to shopping malls? Do you ever go to galleries? Notice they always museums. Do you ever go to museums? Do you like cars? I think this is even the same in Arabic, I think. If you ask someone, do you like cars? What do we say in Arabic if we want to ask someone, do you like cars? What do we say? Or if you want to ask your friend, do you like cars? How is the question in here in Libya? What do we say?
يعني بننزلها بالليبي عادي.
أقول لها بالليبي عادي.
تحب السيارات.
بالضبط. So we use plural, yeah? So it's the same thing in English. Do you like cars? Do you go to museums? Right? It's the same idea.
صح ما نقولوش تحب السيارة، نقول تحب السيارات.
بالضبط. نقولوا yeah. So it's the same. It's the same. So here the idea with your question about shopping. So you could do it both ways. If you want to use it as an activity, do you ever go shopping? That's correct. But if you want to use it as a place, do you ever go to shopping malls? Do you ever go to boutique shops? Do you ever go to makeup stores? So here you're using places here. Okay. All right. Think of 2 other activities and that you can ask Malak, and then she can ask you.
Oh, can I ask her like what she like to do in her free time?
Sure. But this way you will change the question from a yes/no question. It will become a WH question, yeah? But you can ask her because this is the lesson. Go ahead. You can ask her.
Okay, Malak, what do you do in your free time?
I'm watching TV and cooking, and sometimes go to my parents' house, and sometimes play computer games.
All right. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Now, the first 2 activities you mentioned, Malak. What did you say at the beginning about TV?
I'm watching TV. I'm watching TV.
Right. And how would you say it, Shams? If you wanted to talk about TV, and I asked you, what do you do in your free time? How would you say it, Shams?
go watching TV.
Let's think of another way to say it. Remember, because free time activities are routines, yeah? They are considered,
Yes.
and what do we use for routines or habits?
Oh yes, yes. Watches. I watches. I'm sorry. I watch TV.
That's it. Exactly. Excellent. Yes.
Yes.
So just use the infinitive. Just use because if you're using I, you'll use, of course, the infinitive. Correct.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So let's ask this question again. It's a good question. Can you ask it again, please, Shams? Can you ask Malak your same question?
Okay, what do you do in your free time?
I watch TV and cook and play computer games.
Excellent.
Sometimes play. Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes, what do you do sometimes?
I go to my parents' home.
Excellent. And sometimes I go to my parents' home. All right, very nice. Okay, so it's your turn, Malak. You can ask Shams, you can mix. You can ask a yes/no question like this one, do you ever, or do you whatever. And then you can ask her a WH, an open question.
Okay. Do you ever go to museum?
No.
Do you ever play football?
No.
Do you ever do yoga?
Yes, I love yoga.
Okay. What else? Do you ever go to حديقة نسيتها.
What is it?
حديقة منتزه.
Okay, Shams. What is it?
Yeah, I often go.
Yeah, but say just remind her of the word in English.
منتزه. I forget it.
Park?
Park. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to park?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever go to the beach?
Yes.
Okay. What do you do in your free time?
Actually, a lot of things. I watch drama, Korean drama. I learn Korean. Do exercise, cooking, hang out with friends, help my mom if she's doing something hard. Just that.
All right. Excellent. Very nice. Great questions and great answers. Very good. Okay. There's one little note. I think you missed it, Malak, when you disconnected. I was just talking to Shams about it. The idea of using plurals when we're speaking generally. So if you're speaking generally, it's always better to use plural. And we do the same thing even here in Libya, even in Arabic, we say the same thing. So if you want to ask, for example, your brother, or if you want to ask a guy, this is a common question. Do you like cars? Yeah. So you'll say, do you like cars? Do you like cars? Do you go to museums? Do you, for example, if you're talking about something in general, most of the time, not all the time, by the way, because there are examples when, for example, the beach. With the beach, we don't say, do you go to beaches? We say, do you go to the beach? Like Malak said.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the right way. But most of the time, it's plural. Like, do you go to museums? Do you go to parks? Do you like cars? Do you like TV shows? Do you play video games? And even if you think of it in Arabic, it's the same thing. يعني حتى كبترجمي سؤال هذا يطلع نفس الشيء. هل تحب السيارات؟ فبيكون ديما لما بتدرس بصفة عامة in general we use the plural. Okay, so this is just a side note, just a little tip. Now,
Okay.
Now let's check our interesting survey. We have an interesting survey here about the British people. And at the beginning, we just want to read. And but before we read, here we have a general question before we read. So it says here in number 4, work in groups. So we only have 2 people here. How do people in the UK spend their free time, do you think? Okay, so this is a sort of an open question for us to guess. What do you think, Shams? How do you think the British people spend their free time? What do you think they usually do in their free time?
I think they hanging out because they have a really beautiful country.
Okay. Have you been to the UK?
Maybe, I don't know.
Shams, have you been to the UK?
No, never.
Okay, because if you go, you'll change your mind.
It doesn't seem to me like not beautiful. I think it's really beautiful.
I kind of disagree with you, but because if
Why?
you compared to the rest of Europe, this is just my personal opinion, of course. This is just personal, but this could be wrong, of course. Compared to Europe, to Spain or to France, I think the rest of mainland Europe is more beautiful, I think, prettier than the UK. London is interesting, okay, but the rest of the UK, not so much, I think. This is, like I said, personal opinion. I might be wrong on this. All right, so hanging out, I think I agree with you. So people, maybe they hang out with their friends, yeah? What else do you think they do?
Go to cinemas?
Maybe. That makes sense. What about Malak? What's your opinion on this? What do you think they do in their free time, the British people?
Shopping and
go shopping. Mm-hmm.
Yes, watching TV.
Yeah. Watch TV.
Mm-hmm. Go to museum.
Go to picnic.
Go to?
Go to a museum. And
picnics. Okay. Picnic, interesting word. Now, which? Let's have a little. So this is a little question. I'll just tell you. So these are the verbs we have, and here we have picnic. Which is the best verb to use?
Go to?
I think, I agree. Go to picnic.
All right. Okay, actually the right answer is yeah. So picnics are a bit like activities to have. I think the reason they use have is because, by the way, have is a very interesting and a common verb to use for food and drink. In English, it's very rare to say drink coffee, I like to drink coffee, or I like to drink coffee is okay. But I mean, if you're talking about it as a daily activity, we don't say, for example, I drink coffee at 8 o'clock. Usually they say, I have coffee. So we say have coffee, have tea, have a cup of coffee, have a sandwich, have a shower. So they use have a lot in English. So have is have a break, We all have a break at 5 o'clock, for example. So picnic, the reason, this is just a guess, why we use have is probably because in picnics we eat and drink, right? So we have tea, we have sandwiches, cake. Maybe that's why they use have. So picnic isn't, they don't think of it as a place to go to, because you are the picnic, right? The people are the picnic, and the people bring the picnic. It's not a place they go to, right? If you think of it.
Right.
All right, so this is just a side note. Okay, so these are good guesses. I think they're, and some of them are probably true. So now let's read the first paragraph of the article and let's see if we were correct in our guesses. Let's just check the first paragraph. Only the first one. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so what do you think? What about our guesses? Many of the things were correct, yeah? We talked about
Yes.
shopping, I think. We talked about TV, right?
Watching TV.
Yeah.
Gardening.
Gardening. We didn't talk about gardening, but it seems that the British
Picnic.
people. Yeah, we said picnics. What about we have another activity here, going to pubs. What does this mean?
Going to pubs. It's a place for drinking.
Correct. It's like a bar. It's a place for drinking and
Yes.
eating light food, light snacks. Okay. So it's hanging out. They hang out together. They meet their friends in a pub. All right. So here it says, read the rest of the article. Guess the correct answers A to P. So what we have here is, we're going to guess because we have percentages. So let me take you down. Let me scroll down. So so what we want to do is we want to guess the right percentage. Okay. So in each activity from the survey, we have two possibilities or two options. So it says here in this one, which is already answered, it says 83% of British families have a garden, and maybe 15 or maybe 35 normally do some gardening every weekend. All right. So here, remember, our first step is just a guessing exercise. We only want to guess what is the right percentage in your opinion. And then we're going to listen to this from the track, from the listening track, and we will find out if our guesses are close to the factual information here in this survey or not. Okay, so let me give you some time, and maybe it's better if you have, do you have a pen and paper in front of you? Can you write?
Yes.
Shams, what about you? Do you have something to write on?
No, because I'm not home.
Ah, I see. Okay, but it might help if you could write the number, the percent you think is right. Never mind. So
I have a pen on my phone.
you can use your notepad on the phone too, I think, but you can't read if you use the notepad, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so take your time, check these interesting activities, and then we'll find out the right answer from the listening track, okay?
Okay.
All right, just let me know whenever you're finished.
Okay.
I finish.
All right.
I'm finished.
All right, so let's see your guesses. I'm curious to see if you agree on some of these statistics or if you disagree, and then we can check the track. All right, so what about gardening? Do you think 15 or 35% of the British population do some gardening?
35%.
Shams?
I agree, 35.
All right.
35.
And what about 17 or 27? About swimming
17.
every week?
27.
Okay, so
I
some
think
difference.
17.
And football?
Football 16.
Shams?
16.
All right.
16%.
And watching football?
32%.
32%.
What about the theater or a rock concert? It says, which one do you think? 35%.
A rock concert.
Shams, do you agree?
I think the theater.
What about this one? The British people watch TV for about, do you think
2 hours.
2?
I think 2 hours, yes.
Shams, do you think the same thing?
Yeah, I think 2 hours.
What about dinner and watching TV at the same time?
27. Yes, 27.
47.
And 46% of who?
Women.
Women. and 23% of men.
Men.
So you think women are more social?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think women are a little antisocial, I think. But maybe you're right, because maybe the British are a bit different. What about here? Holidays. Holidays is an interesting topic.
I think it's Spain.
Shams? Spain too?
I think too. Yeah.
All right. What about here, McDonald's?
46.
Okay.
46.
And fish and chips?
30.
Have you tried fish and chips, Malak, before?
What?
Have you tried fish and chips? Have you been to the UK?
No.
Okay. Yes. Fish and chips is like, so it's very, very famous in the UK, fish and chips. It's like the local snack. And it tastes good. It's very oily. It's not good for diet, of course. It's a little bit like it's a bit like Sphinx. Do you know we have Sphinx here?
Yes.
Which is a popular snack that's not very healthy. Fish and chips is a bit like this. It's also fried. It's very oily. It's not healthy, but it tastes good, and it's very popular.
Delicious.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's unhealthy but delicious.
It's delicious. Yes, that's the thing, and it's quite good. It's nice. All right, so we have fish and chips. So what about fish and chips? You said 46, 30?
46.
46. Malak, do you agree with her?
30.
30.
30, yes.
Now, let's see about tea and coffee. Which one is 726 million per year? And which one is 900 million per year? Is it coffee or is it tea?
I think tea.
I think first one is coffee.
The lower one is coffee and the higher one is tea?
Yeah.
Yes, the second one, coffee.
So the second one, coffee, and the first one, tea?
Yes.
All right. And what about kilos of chocolate per year? Sorry, what do you think? 16 per year?
Yes.
Shams, do you think that's right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So now let me take you to the tracks. I downloaded it today. Let's see if it works fine. Maybe I need a second just to get it ready. So here we are. We didn't do listening here before, I think, right?
Yes.
All right, yes. Now we have a chance to do this because the other classes, elementary, they have the LCD, but this one, where is it? Okay, pre-intermediate class audio. Now, okay. Where did it go? Here it is. Okay, so let's check the track. We need track 1.7. 1.7. Let's see, 1.7. So
track 7. A new survey on the free.
Okay, is the sound clear? Is the track clear? Can you hear it clearly?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good. Okay. So I think it might help you a little bit if you mute it during the track. This might help a little bit, I think. Okay, so let me return it. Let me get back to the screen. And this way I can share the book and the track at the same time. So let's share the screen and let's share the book. So where's my screen? Okay, here's my screen. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, I'm about to start.
Time and shopping habits of British people. Track 7. A new survey on the free time and shopping habits of British people is published this week. And it shows that we still love football, going to pubs, watching TV and eating fish and chips. Here are some of the results from the survey. The British are always happy when they're socialising. 55% of men and 44% of women go to a bar or pub with their friends every week. About 30% of adults go to a festival or a concert at least once a year, and 20% go to the theatre. About 25% go to day, and about 45.
Okay, sorry. I muted it. I forgot. Okay, let's go back. Okay, I'm not sure, but I have a doubt that maybe this is not the right edition. I hope.
Track 6. Gary, you spend over 4 hours a day. Track 6. Track 7.
A new survey on the free time and shopping habits of British people is published this week, and it shows that we still love football, going to pubs, watching TV, and eating fish and chips. Here are some of the results from the survey. The British are always happy when they're socialising. 55% of men and 44% of women go to a bar or pub with their friends every week. About 30% of adults go to a festival or a concert at least once a year, and 20% go to the theatre. About 25% go to a museum or an art gallery. British people generally watch TV for about 4 hours every day, and about 45% of men have dinner and watch TV at the same time. The average British person spends more than 22 hours online every month, and a quarter of that time is on social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter. More than half of all adults in the UK do some sport every month. About 15% of British people go swimming, and 7% play football, but 32% watch football on TV once or twice a week. British people normally go on holiday once a year, but 20% of people have 2 or more holidays a year. The most popular holiday destination is Spain. 30% of adults go to a McDonald's restaurant every 3 months, but 46% go to a traditional fish and chip shop. The British spend about £48 million on tea and £56 million on coffee every month. And every British person eats 10 kilograms of chocolate every year, more than any other country in the world.
Okay, so you can see here that some of the information is updated because I think I downloaded the track from the second edition of the book. So some of the information was, if you notice, the numbers were slightly different, and we also had additional information, right?
Yes.
Because they also...
Okay.
Right.
Yes, I see.
Yeah. So okay, let's answer the ones at least that we can answer using that we had. Because I remember they didn't talk about gardening, they talked about socializing, right? And the percentages were they more for women or for men, as you remember?
This sentence I don't hear
Okay.
it clearly.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll repeat it. Just a second. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the track. Let's repeat the track again. And this time, let's catch all the information. And remember, if you have different information, all you need to do is take the higher or the lower number for our answers here, okay?
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's repeat this.
Track 7.
A new survey on the free time and shopping habits of British people is published this week, and it shows that we still love football, going to pubs, watching TV, and eating fish and chips. Here are some of the results from the survey. The British are always happy when they're socializing. 55% of men and 44% of women go to a bar or pub with their friends every week.
Okay, so which one is more? Is it the women or is it the men?
The more is the men.
Yes, yeah, men a little more, I think, than women, but not too different. It's not a big difference.
About 30% of adults go to a festival or a concert at least once a year, and 20% go to the theatre.
Which one is more, the concerts and festivals or the theatre?
The concert.
Yeah, concerts and festivals. Yeah, more people go to them than theaters.
About 25% go to a museum or an art gallery. British people generally watch TV for about 4 hours every day.
Okay, and what did we answer? Did we choose 4 or did we choose 2?
I choose 2, but the answer is 4.
Yeah, so 4.
4 hours. Mm-hmm.
And about 45% of men have dinner and watch TV at the same time.
Okay, I think this one we got it right, yes? The one about dinner and TV.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The average British person spends more than 22 hours online every month, and a quarter of that time is on social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter. More than half of all adults in the UK do some sport every month. About 15% of British people go swimming, and 7% play football, but 32% watch football on TV once or twice a week.
This was the first point, the second point, I mean, the one about sports. How close were your answers here? Okay, let's repeat the last point, but I'll go back in the track. But they were talking basically about this one, this second point. So let's go a little bit. Let's hear it again.
About 15% of British people go swimming, and 7% play football, but 32% watch football on TV once or twice a week.
Okay, so which one is more, swimming or playing football?
Playing football.
Playing football.
Not watching, playing. Do you remember the number from playing?
ممكن
Okay, so
I just watched the number of 32 and 16, she said at the first.
okay, she said 15% go swimming, 7% play football, and 32% watch football.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So the people who go swimming is more.
Yes. More British people go swimming than play football.
Yeah.
British people normally go on holiday once a year, but 20% of people have 2 or more holidays a year. The most popular holiday destination is Spain. 30% of adults go to a McDonald's restaurant every 3 months, but 46% go to a traditional fish and chip shop.
Okay, the one about Spain and the one about McDonald's and the fish
Spain,
and chips.
yes.
I think these were correct,
Spain.
like we guessed, I think.
The British spend about £48 million on tea and £56 million on coffee every month.
Okay, so this time they gave you the statistics in months in the track, in the CD. And here we have the statistics in years, yeah?
Yeah.
But we can still make a comparison because we can see which one is more and then we can answer our question. So here, Do you think
Seven,
the tea
yes.
is more?
Tea,
Or
no,
coffee is
coffee more. Coffee more. Coffee is more.
But which one do you think is cheaper, tea or coffee?
Maybe coffee.
Do you think coffee is cheaper than tea?
No, I think tea is cheaper than coffee.
Because I think,
yes.
I'm not sure to be honest, but I think I agree with Chance. I think tea is a bit cheaper. And I know that the British people drink a lot of tea. So this means if the number of tea is lower than the number of coffee, this means there's a clear difference in price because the British consume a lot of tea. Okay, so let's check this last point one more time about the tea and coffee spending.
Fish and chip shop. The British spend about £48 million on tea and £56 million on coffee every month.
Okay, so there you go. For tea, what was the number?
48.
Correct. And for coffee?
I can't hear.
50 something.
Correct? 50?
Yes.
Can you remember 50 what? Hey, let me take you back.
Every month. And every British personal fish and chip shop. The British spend about £48 million on tea and £56 million on coffee every month. And every British person eats 10 kilograms of chocolate every year. More.
Okay, so the
Yes.
coffee, it was 50?
56.
Correct.
Six.
So which one was more? Was it the coffee or the tea?
Coffee.
The coffee is
The
more.
coffee.
Yeah, so even in our book, I think we should choose the 726. This should be for tea, and the 900 million. This should be for coffee. And I think coffee is more expensive. This is probably the reason why. And what about the chocolate? Did you hear the number? How much chocolate per year?
10 kilo.
10 kilo, yes.
10 kilos.
10 kilogram.
Yeah, so this means 9 is probably the right option here for our book here. All right, so let's see if there's anything left.
Any other country in the world.
Okay, so some of the information is the same, some is updated. Anyways, I think we got most of our guesses in the last part, and the 4 last points. I think they were all correct. I think Malak was right with the 3rd point when she thought that more people go to concerts than the theater. The one about socializing, I think both of you said women socialize more, right? Or did you say men? I remember Malak said women more, but Shams, what did you say?
She said women.
Okay, so you're both wrong. So here men, but actually the difference is very small, by the way. I remember from the track, the men, I think for men it was 50%, and for women maybe 46, 40 something. So not a big difference. Anyway, so let's check the last question here. Which answers do you think are surprising? So in your opinion, from this survey about the British way of life, or how the British people spend their free time, which one do you think is the most surprising, and which one do you think is the most predictable, or the one that you think it's obvious? Which of these things?
I think the one which surprised me is British people watch TV for about 4 hours every day.
Uh-huh.
And the second is the tea and the coffee. I think they would love tea more.
Correct. Okay, but I think the explanation might be, the reason might be that the price per kilo for tea is less than the price per kilo for coffee. You get the idea? So maybe a kilo of tea costs 10 dinars, for example, but a kilo of coffee costs 25 maybe dinars. You get the idea? So even if they consume more tea, the overall price is still less. Do you get the idea? This might be the reason. This could be the reason, because you are right, they do consume a lot of tea, I think. Okay, which of these points, Shams, do you think is the most obvious or the most predictable one?
Obvious. That's British people watch football on TV. 32 of British people watch football on TV at least once a week.
So you think this is sort of predictable or obvious?
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Malak? Which of these points do you think is the most surprising, and which of these points do you think is the most sort of predictable or normal point here?
I'm sorry, I don't hear you because the connection is off. I'm back, yes.
Is my voice okay? Is it clear or is it choppy?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, so the question was, which of these points or which of these statistics do you think is the most surprising, and which one do you think is the most obvious or predictable?
I think about 8 men have dinner, and 47 of men have dinner and watch TV at the same time.
You think this is surprising?
Yes.
You thought?
I think less.
You thought less?
Yes.
But you mean, did you think they have dinner with families, or do you think they have dinners without TV? What did you think?
Yes, dinner without TV. I think British people more busy, and I don't know how I explain it, but I think I don't think that.
All right. And which point do you think is the most normal or obvious point?
About chocolate, and it's a chocolate. Yes, 10 kilogram.
So you think this is normal for rich people because they like chocolates, maybe?
Yes.
All right, so this was a little lesson here, or a little story about the British free time activities, what they do in their free time. Now here, let me just change the sharing. Okay, so now it says frequency adverbs and expressions. So we have here these frequency adverbs. So we want to put these in order. So you can already see that number 1 is for always. So maybe if you do something all the time, always, every day, this is number 1, yeah? And then we have number 2, which is less in frequency. So maybe this is something that you don't do every day, maybe. So we can say, I generally watch television. I normally watch television. I usually watch television. This is number 2. Do you think you can do the rest of them? 3, 4, 5, 6, until we get to... All right. So let's see your guesses first, Shams. What do you think?
Okay, number 3 is often.
Do we have... Okay, we have often. Okay, so number 3 is often.
Yeah, and number 4, not very often.
Okay.
Number 5, sometimes.
Okay.
Number 6, hardly ever. Number 7, never. Number 8, Occasionally.
Occasionally.
Please repeat it.
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
Okay, do you agree with her, Malak? Do you think that's the right order?
Yes, I think that.
All right, so let's check. I think we can check them. So let's see if this is the right order of the adverb frequency from sort of the highest to the lowest, okay? But Malak, sorry, Shams, usually when we want to say that, when we want to talk about something that we don't do at all, zero, what do we say?
Never.
Okay, but did you use never as the last one? I think the last one you used was sometimes, yes? What do you think? Do you want to have another go? Would you like to sort them again?
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, go ahead.
So number 1 is always. Number 2, normal generally. Number 3 is often. I think it's still often. I don't know.
Okay, okay.
Often and not very often. No. Number 3 is sometimes.
Okay, so after often, sometimes.
Sometimes, often.
Yeah.
So do you think sometimes is more than often or less, Malak?
I think sometimes is more.
Do you agree, Shams? Do you think sometimes is more or less than often?
I think less.
Okay. Okay, so let's try them with Malak's answers. With Shams's answers first. So Shams thinks often, and then you think the next one. What did you think the next one was?
Sometimes.
Okay, so sometimes. And then what's the next one?
Not very often.
Okay, not very often. And then?
Occasionally.
Okay, occasionally. Okay. Here, because the S-I-O-N, remember the general, yeah, the J, like television. Remember the word television? So whenever you have an S-I-O-N, it's usually Jen. So here you have the same thing, the S-I-O-N, occasionally, occasionally.
Occasionally.
All right. So what's the next one, Shams? What do you think? Okay, occasionally is number 6, right? You said.
Yeah.
All right. What about 7?
Hardly ever.
Then
never.
And then the last one was never. Okay. Which of these do you agree with, Malak, and which ones do you think maybe we should change?
I think sometimes number 3 and number 4 often.
All right. So you will change 3. What do you want 3 to be?
3 sometimes.
Okay. So you think number 3 is, and often, what do you want often to be?
Number 4.
All right. Any other changes?
Maybe I didn't know the meaning about occasionally and hardly ever. I don't know what's the meaning yet.
Okay, okay. So I think it's better if we check here the order. Let's check 119, then you can have an idea. Let's check. Look again. Okay. 119. All right, so here we have it. Here it is. This is 119. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see it. All right, can you see the little bar?
Yes, I see.
Yeah, so always is something that you do all the time. Okay, so 100% of the time. So if you say, I always watch television, this is something that you do 7 days a week, for example. Okay, but if you say, I normally or I generally watch television, maybe you do this 6 times a day, 6 days a week, almost every day, almost, but not every day. Then you have often, which is a little less. Maybe often is something you do 5 days a week. I often watch television, so maybe 5 days a week. Then we have sometimes. So sometimes is sort of in the middle, a bit in the middle. So if you say, I sometimes watch television maybe 4 days a week. Then we have not very often. So you can say, I don't watch television very often. I don't watch television very often. Maybe 3 days a week only. Occasionally is something you do even less. So something you don't do a lot. So you can say, I occasionally visit my grandmother, maybe 2 days a week. So, but if you say, I hardly ever, it means this is something you do very rarely. Another way of saying hardly ever, you can also say, have you seen this word?
Yeah.
Rarely. I rarely visit
Yes,
my
yes.
grandmother. I rarely go to the beach. They are the same meaning. Rarely and hardly ever is something that you don't do a lot. You do it very unfrequently. It's something you don't do a lot. This is the idea. And never, I think, is clear. Something you never do. I never wake up at 5 o'clock. I always wake up after 5 o'clock. So you can say 0%. Of course, these expressions are, you don't have to memorize them. They're not maths, to get the idea. If you say often when you mean sometimes, it's not a big deal. They're not mathematical 50%, 60%, 20. It's not like this. They're just expressions. But of course, always is 100%, and never is 0%. But these in the middle, so if you use often instead of sometimes, or if you use usually instead of often, do you get my point? It's not a big deal. It's not a disaster. It's not the end of the world if you use often instead of usually. I think we also know usually, it's common. I think you've heard of usually before, right? Usually, I usually go to the mall on Sundays. So if you say I usually go to the mall on Sundays, it means maybe 4 Sundays in a month, maybe 3 Sundays you go, right? So if you say I usually go to the mall on Sundays, when you tell me information like this, in my mind, I imagine a month with 4 Sundays. And when you say usually, I understand that maybe 3 of them. You go three Sundays out of 4. If you say, I sometimes go to the mall on Sundays, in my mind, I imagine 2, maybe 2 Sundays you go. If you say, I don't go very often to the mall on Sundays, so I think maybe 1 Sunday a month. But if you say, I hardly ever go to the mall on Sundays, maybe I imagine 1 Sunday every 2 months or every 3 months. To get the idea. So it's like it's a statistical thing. You're just trying to get as close as possible to the range. And here the word frequency. I think frequency. Have you heard of this word before? Have you seen this word before? Frequency.
Yeah. It's like once a month, twice a week, every day.
Yeah, it's when we say frequency, it means how frequent do you do these things? How frequently? It means how often do you repeat something? So if I want to know how many times you do something per week, I will always use the question how often. So here, if I ask you, Malak, for example, how often do you study English, or how often do you take an English lesson? How should you answer? Okay, Shams, you can take the question. How often do you study English, Shams?
Twice a week, maybe.
That's a good answer. Twice a week, 3 times a week. It depends on your reality. So you can give a range by saying twice a week, 3 times a week, or you can use I often study English, or I sometimes study English, or I don't study English very often, and so on. So these expressions are ways for you to describe how many times you repeat an accent. Okay, do you get the idea?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
All right, so here let's go back to our exercises. Okay, so let's check our other question. It says, look at sentences 1 to 3, then complete the rules with before or after. Okay. So let's check these 3 sentences. Let's read them first. The first one, it says, the British are always happy when they're socializing. The second sentence, it says, British people usually go on holiday once a year. Okay. Now the third one, it says 35% normally do some gardening every weekend. Okay, so first of all, we need to find where are the frequency adverbs. So in this sentence, Malak, can you show me where the frequency adverb is in sentence number 1? So
number 1, always number 1.
Okay, nice. What
Always.
about number 2?
Number 2, usually.
Okay, so this is our adverb frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And
number 3, normally.
All right. Now, so we found them now. Now let's see, Shams, can you tell us, let's try to fill in the gaps for this rule. So it says here, we want to say if we use, whether we use them after or whether we use them before. So you need to say if we use adverbs of frequency, do we use them before verb to be or do we use them after verb to be? According to these examples, what do you think, Shams?
Before.
Okay. Let's find verb to be. Can you locate verb to be in sentence number 1? Where's the verb to be here, Shams?
After the verb to be.
After.
But let's find it first. Where is it? Where's verb to be in these sentences?
Are.
Are.
Yes, are.
Okay. But what about the other sentences? Do we have verb to be in the other sentences? Do we have verb to be here? Can you find the verb to be?
No.
What about this one?
Is it before?
Sorry?
No, we don't have verb to be.
Yeah, so actually in number 2 and number 3, there's no verb to be. So this rule only applies for the first example.
After, yes.
So is it after or is it before? What do you think,
Before,
Shams?
before.
So do we put the adverb do we put the frequency adverb, do we put it before verb to be or do we put it after verb to be?
After.
Do you agree, Malak?
Yes, after verb to be.
Yes, exactly. It's after. Because here in the example, I forgot letter T. So yeah, after. Now, what about the other verbs? Let's look for the other verbs. In sentence number 2 and sentence number 3. Now, where are the other verbs in number 2 and number 3? Where's the verb in this sentence? Who can find it?
The verb go.
Okay, so this is our verb, go.
And do.
And
Do.
do.
Yes.
Okay, it's a little noisy, Malak, next to you, I think. All right. Now, okay, so according to other verbs, where do we put the adverb of frequency? Do we put it before it or do we put it after it? Yes, so we put it before. All right, so this is just a little rule that shows us how to use adverbs of frequency. So if you're using verb to be in your sentence, then maybe the adverb of frequency should go after the verb to be. But if you're using a normal verb, it's the other way around. Okay, so now let's make a few sentences, a few examples. I'm going to make 2 examples, one of them using verb to be and the other one's using a normal verb. So I can say, I'm usually late on Sundays. Okay, and my verb to be is this one. Okay, I don't want all of it to be colored. Let's see if I can color only. Okay, never mind. So so this is the first one. Now I'm going to use another example with let's say Dennis never wakes up before 10 o'clock. Where's the clock? Okay, so these are my examples, and you can see that I used, where is it? That I used verb to be here. I used it before the adverb of frequency, yeah? But in this example, in the normal verb, it's after the adverb of frequency, right? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, now your turn, Shams. I'd like you to do the same thing. So think of 2 sentences, one of them using verb to be and another one using a normal verb.
I'm usually get up at 8 o'clock.
Okay, here's a little tip. With verb to be, it's not common when you're using verb to be, you shouldn't use normal regular verbs, right? So if you say, for example, I'm Shams, you have to stop and you have to start the second part. And I like football, or I like yoga, for example. But the idea is you can't put them right after each other, right next to each other. So you said I'm. What did you say after it?
Usually.
Okay.
Get up.
Okay.
At 8 o'clock.
All right. Now, how can we make this grammatically correct? In your opinion, Shams? What can we change it to make it grammatically correct? I think what you're trying to say here, you want to talk about a routine or a habit, right? Okay, and what do we use for routines and habits?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
What do we use for routines and for habits?
Usually.
Okay, I mean in grammar, which tense do we use? The past simple? Do we use the future going to?
Present simple.
Okay, good. We use present simple. Excellent. How do we make a present simple sentence?
I usually get up at 8 o'clock.
Very good. So what do we remove? What do we change?
Am.
Excellent. That's it. So the verb to be here has no place with this sentence. The reason is in this sentence, I mean, because we already have a main verb. Can you see this? Get up. This is your main verb, so you cannot use verb to be with it. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a good example using a main verb, and you can see here that the adverb of frequency goes before the other verbs, right? So you can see it's before the verb. Now give me another sentence, but this time you have to use verb to be. I'll give you a tip. I'll help. If you're using verb to be, now, okay, let's talk about the difference between verb to be and present simple. Now, with verb to be, we are always talking about the subject, himself or herself or themselves. So whenever you say, for example, he is a student, for example, he's a student. So we're describing who he is, his being, yeah? That's why we call it verb to be. What's verb to be in Arabic? If I want to translate this sentence in Arabic, how do we translate it?
يكون.
The whole sentence.
هو يكون طالب. أنا أكون طالب.
بالضبط. Okay, that's exactly right. Now in Arabic, what's the problem we have here? What do we say in Arabic? The الترجمة العادية يعني.
أنا طالب.
بالضبط تمام. نقولوا أنا طالب. وين مشت اللي أكون هذه؟ احنا يعني بالعربية هل نقولوا أنا أكون طالب ولا نقولوا أنا طالب وخلاص؟
نقول له أنا طالب خلاص.
بالضبط. احنا في المضارع متاعنا في العربي الأكون وهذه زي قلتها يعني مش نستعملوش فيها رزينة غريبة فوتوا فيها بكرة. لكن لاحظوا لو غيرنا على الباست سيمبل شو بيصير؟ ترى ترجموها هذه بالعربي.
أنا كنت طالب.
بالضبط. شنو صار لها الكينونة هذه؟ شنو صار لها فعل كان؟ رجعت ولا؟ فالفكرة ان احنا مشكلتنا الوحيدة مع الكينونة هذا اللي هو verb to be ان احنا في المضارع in the present احنا ما نستعملوش فيه في المضارع خلاص. لكن لو في اللي هو الاحوال الثانية للpast tense الماضي حيرجع، وحتى لو في المستقبل How do we translate this sentence?
سوف أصبح محامي.
بالضبط. يعني سوف أصبح، ولا حتى نقدر مثلا نقولوا أكون، سوف أكون محامي. فهنا رجعت الكينونة. السوف اللي هي نقدر نقولوا أن هي عبارة عن going to، السوف هذه بتاع المستقبل. البي اللي هي ولتنا في خلال الكلمتين هما يا إما أصبح يا إما أكون، يعني حتى في المستقبل موجودة. إحنا مشكلتنا الوحيدة أن هي في البريزنت مش موجودة. هذه واحدة من الأسباب One of the reasons why we usually make mistakes with verb to be in the present as Arabic speakers. لكن لاحظوا في الأمثلة هذه الثلاثة in all these examples there's no action, right? There are no actions, nothing is happening. It's like a description of the person. أنا قاعد نصف في روحي وخلاص نصف كينونتي شنو نكون أنا ولا شنو كنت ولا شنو حنكون صح ولا؟ There's no actions here. وهذه بصفة عامة طريقة استعمال verb to be. الverb to be دي ما متمحور على الفاعل نفسه. الفاعل هو أنا يعني هو I. هذا اللي هو subject بيكون. لكن تو على عكس ال present simple العادي اللي هو زي مثال شمس this one. I usually get up at 8 o'clock. In this example there's action. She's talking about an action that happens every day. ما توصفش هي في روحها كل الموضوع جاي في الأكشن حد ذاته. يعني هذه واحدة من الاختلافات بين المضارع العادي وبين verb to be وهذا ليش ما يحطوش فيهم مع بعضهم. You can't say for example I'm a go student مثلا. ما تجيش ما تركبش فعل go ما يمشيش مع الآن. You can't use it together. So the general idea is if you want to use verb to be شمس وبتديرها لحاجة فيها frequency الأفضل أنك أنت بتستعملي you need to use an adjective happy, late, early, sad. If you want to talk about the weather you can say talk about the summer Shams. Talk about the summer in Libya using often. Okay, I'll give you. Okay, go ahead.
The weather is often very hot this summer.
Very good. Often very hot in the summer in Libya. This is a great sentence and it's grammatically correct. It's perfect because we have the verb to be and we have the often and we're following the same rule. We're using the adverb of frequency اللي هو often كان هنا. We're using it after the verb to be. It's a good sentence, it's meaningful and it's grammatically correct. All right? So so this is how we can use adverbs of frequency. Is it clear? Do you get the I think the point? All right,
yes.
great.
I get the
Okay, good. Do you have a question, Shams?
No.
All right. Malak, same thing. Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear.
All right, good. Now we still have enough time to do the last part here. Here it says, put these frequency expressions in order. So we talked about frequency adverbs, and now here we have the cousins of frequency adverbs. Here we have frequency expressions. So this is the same thing, really. They just tell us how often we repeat something. So if you say twice a day, of course, this is more than 3 times a week. Now we want to write the rest of the order. We want to put it in order from the most frequent to the least frequent. Okay? So twice a day, 3 times a week. What's the next one in your opinion?
Number 3.
Where's number 3?
Every Saturday.
All right, okay. What about 4?
Every couple of weeks.
What about 5?
Once a month.
Okay.
And once every 3 months. And the last once or twice a year.
All right, and I think that's correct. So you can see here that we describe how often something happens. So I think the idea is obvious. It's clear from something that you do a lot So if we say this is 100% and this is 0%, it's a bit like using always and never and everything in between. This is the same thing, but you're just using more specific expressions. These are a little more general, but these are a little more specific. So, so if you want to give a timetable, maybe using a frequency expression is better than using a frequency adverb. Because with a frequency expression, you could be a little more accurate. You could say, I study English 3 days a week, for example.
Yeah, it's more specific.
Exactly, yes, it's more specific, yeah. All right, so it says here, look again at sentences 2 and 3. Where do the expressions usually go in the sentence? Okay, so I think we don't have enough time to do this. But the idea, let's check this. I think we can just squeeze it. Look again at sentences 2 and 3. So here we have 2 and 3. So it says here, where do the expressions in 5C go? So they want us to change, instead of using usually. No, it's already answered actually. Okay, so let's find the expression. Where's the expression? Here. Who can find the expression of the frequency expression?
Once a year and every weekend.
All right. And where do we put them? Do we put them after the verb? Do we put them before the verb?
No, after.
Exactly. Where's the verb in each sentence? Let's Malak. Malak is a little quiet. Where's the verb?
The verb is do. Number 2, go. Number 3, do.
Yes, that's right. So here you will say British people go, or usually go on holiday once a year. 35% of people do some gardening every weekend. So the expression is always after the verb, and it's usually actually at the end of the sentence. When you want to use a time expression, a frequency expression, it's better to use it at the end of the sentence. Did I send you the workbooks for pre-intermediate?
No.
No.
You didn't send it.
I didn't.
Yes.
I should do it today. Okay, this means I'll send you the workbook, and this means we should catch up on. This means you should also do 1C. No, 1C we didn't finish it. You don't have to finish 1C in the workbook. Maybe you can finish half of it. But 1A and 1B, you should finish 1A and 1B in the workbook. I think I can send it tonight. It just needs some downloading and I can send it. I think that's all for today. If you have questions, please send me on the inbox. And please, Malak, make sure that the lecture I sent you, the recorded lecture, is the right one. Just let me know.
Okay.
And thanks again, and I'll see you next lesson, okay?
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye.